interviews with business owners and veteran executives who share their wisdom and expertise to help you de-stress, free up time, and make more money. Profits of IT.
Welcome back to the Profits of IT. I am Jim Punzenberger, your host, and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. You're looking to generate new clients or partners through short viral content and creative outreach? Be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com. On today's episode, I have a 21-year veteran of the Microsoft Partner Channel. He has been a part of 5 different Microsoft partners or partner businesses. He's actually a second generation in the business. His father had a Microsoft consulting practice before him. And I think he's going to be very interesting to learn some of the keys to his success. Brian Long is the sales director for Clarinet Solutions. Brian, please say hi to the audience and tell us a quick bit about Clarinet.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. You appreciate having me on. I've been around the Microsoft community for probably too long, and I've seen it really evolve over those years. So I'd be happy to share some of that, the lessons learned and knowledge with you today. But I at Clarinet, we focus on the Microsoft modern collaboration tool set. So that could be SharePoint, Teams, the Power Platform, security. So really all things Microsoft 365. And so that whole strategy has really evolved over the last, I would say, 5 or 6 years, from really just being SharePoint to, a broad spectrum of collaboration tools. And with COVID and the changes with Teams and the growth of Teams, I think that's really even propelled that forward. So that's the space that we play in, and have had a lot of success. And a lot of our guys have been doing that for really since the inception of SharePoint. The WSS 3.0, if you can remember that from back in the day, release that came out. I think it was on a small business server that everybody seemed to get. So that,
yes,
those guys have really been in the thick of it for that long. So kind of that niche focus on the collaboration stuff is what we do.
SBS 2008.
Yeah, everybody had to get one. So.
Yeah, I was in the space. I had my own IT business at that time, so I was one of the guys installing those SBS 2008 servers, and they were all the rage.
Exactly.
So, Brian, what's something interesting about yourself outside of work? It looks like you're interested in motorcycle racing.
I am. Yeah, I have 2 sons. One's 19. He's actually, I'm going out to Georgia next week. He's graduating from basic training and going to Ranger school. So I'm pretty proud of him and what he's accomplished after high school. And I have a 12-year-old that also races motorcycles, but we do other sports, BMX, football. We've done soccer, baseball. We kind of do it all. As kind of really into anything with action tied to it. So I'm based in San Diego, so kind of have the opportunity to do whatever you want. I'm born and raised here in
all
San
year
Diego.
round too. You're not limited by having snow that prevents you from doing stuff in the wintertime.
Yeah. Although if I was in Wisconsin, I could probably find a way. Some action sport.
Well,
you've got snowmobiles, snow skis.
You'd be the guy putting screws in the tires of the motorcycle, probably, and racing them on the ice.
Exactly. Doing whatever I can. So, but I pretty much like anything that has a little bit of adrenaline tied to it, so to speak.
Cool.
So, and that's why I'm kind of in the role that I'm in. I like excitement. I like, creating and building new things. That's why I've worked with so many over the years, because You know, it's exciting for me to see a small Microsoft
Hmm.
partner go from like a few people, you know, to 40 or 50 people. There's a lot of change that happens, a lot of excitement that happens in that process. And you know, after that, sometimes it gets maybe a little less exciting, a little bit more corporate feeling, and maybe
Uh-huh.
that's not as much fun for me, not as much adrenaline or things to do. So that's
Got
where I
it.
found my success. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's like some of the keys to growing a Microsoft practice from a handful of people to dozens of people?
Well, I think, I mean, just using Clarinet, just using them as an example, my most recent experience. I've been here about 4 years now. And so when I started here, you know, 4 or 5 people, really just a bunch of consultants, right? Not as many business focused people. So you're really in what I call, you know, just chasing after new business all the time. And then once you get it, having to do the business, right? So nobody's really focused on the business. And so this was like right before COVID hit too. So it was probably was October before when in February where they shut everything down, right?
Hmm.
So when I came on board and really looked at the way they were packaging up their services and delivering services, I think one of the keys to thinking about a Microsoft practice today, just using Microsoft as an example, is trying to align yourself as much as you can with some sort of recurring revenue or consistency. Because with what happened during COVID, like literally months later, um, you know, everything as far as projects pretty much dried up.
Uh-huh.
Like
I
you would call people and
suppose.
yeah, you would call people and they would say, you know, why are you calling? We're not doing projects right now.
Yeah.
There's like, I don't know, there's this thing called COVID and everything
Yeah.
shut down and we're not doing projects. But they were also losing people. And so like part of that is filling the gap of what they don't have and sort of having that consistency of revenue to weather any storm.
Hmm.
And then plus the profitability of, you know, if you're planning on selling the company at some point and getting those good evaluations or just having a consistency to hire and feel confident to hire people, you need some sort of recurring base
Right.
to feed
So,
from. Um,
so was
so
Clarinet,
I would say that's
question for you. Was Clarinet like
yeah.
on a basically a time model of they would get a new client, they do a project, they would spend 100 hours, spend they'd bill them for 100 hours, and that's sort of the model.
Yeah, it they had about, you know, I would say about $10,000 of recurring revenue a month, but it was tied to these what they're called, you know, support contracts.
Hmm.
And when 95% of your customers are in the cloud, technically they don't need support. They have support through Microsoft. It's software as a service. And so it was just misaligned. It's like, you know, and they're like, I was like, well, how many of these folks actually call you to get support? Like they don't really use it very much. It's like, well, because they don't really need support. What they need is consulting. And so it's kind of the concept of, you know, changing the mindset into where people want to spend dollars too. They want to spend dollars on IT folks, people that have been in the industry for 20 years and can explain to them what they need to do with these platforms and how to best use them and train their staff and automate processes. So they want to be able to use the funds that they have for IT, not on break fix, not on fixing a car that breaks. It's really the mindset is shifted to, you know, how do we spend these dollars to better utilize the software that we own?
Hmm.
And in Microsoft 365, there's a lot of apps to learn all the time, and they're constantly changing. So Microsoft comes out with, you know, close to 100 different updates a month. So how can you realistically, you know, keep up on that? So
Right.
trying to fill that, I kind of looked at the void that we needed to fill, and you know, now 4 years later, we're close to 200,000 of monthly recurring revenue,
Wow.
right? So we start the month with a tremendous amount of revenue. We have over 60 customers on the platform as a managed provider providing strategy and consulting services. So you combine that now when the projects do come back, because they will come back, and you need the projects for cash flow. That's always important. Uh, you know, but it when you combine the two together and you have projects plus the recurring revenue, I think that's really the winning combination, right? But you have to figure out what is the value that you're going to provide. Otherwise, we even we have month-to-month contracts. So we don't force anybody into a long-term contract. So that's how confident we feel about keeping somebody on a month-to-month basis, just providing value. Is like, if we're not providing value, then we're doing something wrong. So you have to really, it's not just about, you have to have the staff behind that too, to support and the methodologies and the way you engage with them in order for them to want to stay a customer on a recurring basis. That's not easy either. But if you have that and you have a program that people want that fills a gap, I think that's a winning, because then you're just building every year. Now it's like, okay, every year we're adding 50 or 60,000 of recurring revenue every single year to that base, and we're not losing customers. It's just going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And every time we add, 4 or 5 new managed service customers, we add another resource, right? Because we can cover some of those costs.
Cool. Any other thoughts around this?
I also think that a lot of partners don't do a good enough job of marketing themselves, to be honest. There's companies out there that focus on, marketing for specific types of organizations. So you need to find one that does understand your line of business. But for us, we play the long-term game of, SEO and sort of really providing a lot of content. So we write 4 to 5 blogs a month that are optimized through our website, and it takes 18 months to drive the traffic to your website to get the views and the inquiries. But if you play that long-term game, and you're, in our business, I do feel that educating is selling. Like, that's the main key that I think people don't focus on enough, is, they don't focus enough on their marketing activities, because from the time I started in this career to now, normally you don't want people necessarily talking to me in my role until they're somewhat qualified themselves, right? So how are you going to warm them up to the business, so that when they inquire, you're spending the time from the folks like that are, like myself, that are going to be taking it from a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead. Like, it's not the cold calling days, all that kind of stuff is kind of dead. It's been dead for a while. So marketing has to warm them up, in my opinion, and you got to figure out a good strategy around that. Then engage your expensive, sales force to take it after that, right? Otherwise, you're kind of spinning your wheels and wasting a lot of money on pay-per-click ads and different things too, to get the leads. And a lot of those leads aren't quality leads because they're not tied to something that is a problem that you solve. So you have to kind of figure out how you tie those two things together, and a lot of that's done through providing your expertise for free, so that when people find it, they're like, I know this person knows how to solve my problem before they contact you.
Right. So you're
writing, that's important.
It sounds like you're writing articles and blogs and things that are educational about you guys' expertise in the digital workplace, and how you can resolve issues.
Yeah, every month they're different, and they're all educational, and they're on our website. We do also public webinars, and then we internal webinars to those managed customers. So everything we do is around education, but that content that you spend the time to write and sit down and write, it also has a weird effect where it ingrains that knowledge into your staff. So it's forcing them to constantly learn some new technology, right? Which, they're continuously learning. Then you give that to marketing, then they reuse that content in to drive new business. And then your sales team uses that content to help get somebody across the finish line. You're just reusing the content. But if you don't have a good strategy around how you're going to get that content written and actually focus on it and feel like it's important, because when you're doing it and asking a consultant to write something down, they don't understand why, and sometimes you don't even, but you know, you just have to have a system and just know that the system is what makes everything work, if that makes sense. I mean,
Right.
so
Yes, it does.
yeah, you need a marketing system, and you need the other side to be on board with that as well, you know. So
Got it.
yeah.
So I guess we have a moment for networking or an ask. Is there what type of company should be reaching out to you at Clarinet, and why should they be reaching out to you?
Well, we actually, you know, because what we do is fairly niche, we work with a lot of other IT companies. I have a lot of relationships over the years, so there's different companies that we partner with that will pull us into their customer engagements, because the
Mm-hmm.
people here are pretty expensive and they're kind of hard to find, right?
Right.
So they're, you know, and if we're not a general IT help desk, desktop support type IT firm. We don't do that. So we don't compete with each other. We're very niche on that. So we partner up with a lot of other IT companies
Like
that
managed IT
exactly.
companies,
They'll subcontract us
MSPs.
in. Yeah, MSPs, all those folks. Those people are definitely people that we can help support. And so now they have a a, a broader offering
Mm-hmm.
of services that they can offer around the Microsoft side. And
So
then
they can.
obviously anybody that's interested in anything with like building intranets or automation with the Power Platform, or Teams or cloud security, really anything on the Microsoft 365 side, we have, you know, deep expertise in. But it's very much around like building these complex, you know, intranets and automation solutions is our bread and butter. So
Right. So they can bring you in and offer your services to their clients and then make a margin on that?
yeah, we either do it, you know, as a, you know, kind of a, you know, partner to partner, or we do it just direct with the customer as at a partner discounted rate. So we have ways that we partner with, so it make it worthwhile, so to speak, so that the partners have the margin that's baked in there. A lot of the stuff we do is fixed cost. So if you're our partner, there's ways that we work with partners different than we work directly with customers, that allows them to make some revenue, you know, on and provide these services to customers. And then eventually some of them end up growing into offering these services on their own. Like they need to build it up to a certain point, and we're fine with that too. Um, so in that interim stage of not hiring all these SharePoint experts, or because there's a lot of people that say that I'm going to hire somebody, and really all this guy can do is move files from a file share to SharePoint kind of thing, not really a true intranet expert. Or, and that's still just one skill, right? There's other skills that are needed. You need like an army of people
Mm-hmm.
that have been doing this, and it's just, you know, not feasible if there's not the pipeline and to support that. So I would say anybody that's in that space, we definitely would love to talk to. Maybe we could partner with. We're very partner friendly, and any organizations that are looking to expand on their Microsoft investment in the cloud, um, we'd love to talk to them too.
Great. And what would be a
Yeah.
good way for them to get a hold of you?
I would start at just clarinetsolutions.com, and my email address is belong@clarinetsolutions.com. And like I said, there's some great materials on our website either way. We did a public webinar just last year with a couple Microsoft MVPs that talked about where our internet's going in 2023, and asked them a ton of questions. And that was a very interesting webinar, probably one of the better ones that we've done, that's available to download too. So there might be just some great materials you can find off the website. And then if you find anything in there that you need, you know, definitely reach out. We're here to help.
Great. I'll include some information in the show notes too, so that they can make it easier to, if they're wondering how to spell Clarinet Solutions or anything, check out the show notes for the information.
Appreciate
Well,
that.
Brian, thank you for your time here today and sharing. It's been wonderful having you on.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
And until next time on the Prophets of IT, I am Jim Punzenberger, your host, and the creator of the Managed Prospecting System. Looking for new clients or partners, be sure to check out managedprospectingsystem.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Prophets of IT. Please smash that like button, subscribe, and share.